Hey, boom, everybody, and happy Tuesday to you. It is Tuesday, November the 19th. My name is Bart, and I am coming to you from my world headquarters here in my home office in St. Louis. And what a great pleasure it is to be with you guys today. Couple of really quick announcements. Let me do a quick watch party here and start a watch party with this. Hey, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. Couple of really quick announcements. As you know, we have been having some difficulties with the technology side of our platform, and yesterday discovered what that issue was. And so today we're on Facebook Live. Tomorrow we will be coming to you from a brand new platform. We'll be on a Zoom platform tomorrow. Look later on today for some indicator as to the Zoom code, but we'll also be out here on Facebook Live. More details to come. So real excited about what that is going to bring to us. On a somber note now, I do want to send out some true ibüümerang love and sympathy to our dear boomerang sister, Miss Peggy Simpson. Peggy lost a family member early this morning, and she and I have been chatting and know that, it's never easy. But as I heard her talk about her brother, hey, Rudy is watching. Let me click on Rudy here and see if I can get him to come join us. Just a moment, folks. All right, and let me see if I can get Rudy to join, share broadcast. With Rudy, I'm going to invite him, okay? And let me see if we can get him to come. All right. For some reason, it is not letting me do this. Bear with me 1 minute, folks. Here we go. Rudy, I have sent you an invite. I don't see it on here yet, but anyway, you're right. Our hearts go out to our sister Peggy. She talked about a great deal about her brother and the greatness that he had. I'm gonna see if I can get you back on here one more time, Rudy. If you did get the invite, let me know in the notes there with it, and we can talk about greatness. That's going to be our topic today, because when she talked about her brother, she talked about the greatness and how well respected he was in his community. And so when I start looking at that, hey, Jolanda's joined us here, and so has Jim and Tom. Welcome to all you guys. When I start thinking about greatness, one of the things that started coming to my mind was this book right here, Les Brown's Laws of Success. And in Les's book, I believe it's the 5th law of success, is the law of greatness. It says, lift your mind with self-development. I'll try one more time to see if I can get my brother Rudy on here. Bear with me 1 second, folks. All right. Share broadcast with Rudy. All right. For some reason, it's not allowing me. Let's go ahead and continue. So we'll talk about greatness. And what I want to do is share with you a couple of things. Hey, Cindy, thanks for joining us. Here's what Les Brown says about that. And Peggy, this is dedicated to you because you are someone that I do consider a person of true greatness. Here's what Les writes. He says, I want to tell you something. You may not believe me, but I want you to mull it around. I want you to think about it throughout the next few days. I want it to impact you. I want it to remind yourself multiple times a day. He says, I want this to be part of who you are. Are you ready? You have greatness in you. Yes, you. You have the power to take this life by the reins and lead it in whatever direction you want it to go. You have the ability to charge to a better life, and you have the ability to be truly great. Now, you may look at your idols or other great men and women, and you may think that they're a different breed, maybe even a completely different species. You may think that there's no way they can be human beings normal ones anyway. And on a side note, that just described two of our mentors, and I think Rudy would agree with me, and that's Miss Yolanda George and Mr. Tim George. They got to be of a different breed, a different species, because of what they do, how they do. They're super parents, they're super friends, they're super Ruby ambassadors here in the ibüümerang. But Les Brown says, well, guess what? They are. They are made of flesh and bone, just like you. They bleed, they sweat, they dream, and they get scared. They have gone through tough times, they worry, and they sometimes think that they aren't good enough. Here's the difference. The difference is they push through it. They remind themselves of their greatness, and they continue to grow. Because you see, great people don't stop at greatness. Great people are always developing and always growing. People who have accomplished great things know that they aren't finished. Their greatness doesn't end at a trophy, a prize, or a few $1 million in the bank. I found that to be so incredible, and Peggy's now joined us. Peggy, we're sending our love to you. You inspired me this morning to talk about the whole subject of greatness. Jennifer, welcome to you as well. You know, when you look at greatness and you look at great people, there are many folks that I look up to, people that I admire. As many of you know, I'm a writer, and I take great pride. It's one of my passions is to write. And there was a person that actually inspired me to go in a whole different direction and write something different. And Peggy's actually read the novel that I've written, and I'm rewriting a little bit of right now. But that person was Mr. James Ivory. Mr. James Ivory wrote the screenplay for Call Me By Your Name. I think a couple of years ago, it actually won the Oscar for Best Screenplay. Here's what inspired me about it. The story is a beautiful story. But James Ivory received his Oscar for Best Screenplay on his first nomination at the ripe old age of 89. And I thought to myself, I have a chance. I have a chance. I can still do this. And that's what inspired me. But then I meet people along the way. People like Rudy. We knew each other from Facebook before we ever really physically met in Vegas. And then we connected and clicked. That is a definition of greatness. Tim and Yolanda George, I met them for the first time. I think it was in Atlanta, but it may have been in Houston at our kickoff. But we had seen each other. But that's the cool thing about social media and about being on something live like this. You can put a face with a name, and when you meet that person, you know you're meeting someone of real importance to you. And so that becomes someone that you really want to align with. Mr. Ronell Sylvester, another one. Miss Karen Hirsch. And then, of course, Mr. Johnny Wimbrey that we met there in New York. Rudy and I did a couple of weeks ago. But talk about greatness. I mean, many people define greatness as maybe that person holds the record for the most touchdowns. Maybe they are the fastest runner. Maybe it's someone like Meryl Streep, who has the most Academy Award nominations ever. Or someone like Oprah, who has done so much for her profession, but also for the lives of others. I mean, how many of us can actually say, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car? I think Mr. Holton Buggs can probably do that, but I can't yet. But see, that's what greatness is. It's something inside of you that speaks on a real high level. And so when you have a setback, and as Les Brown talks about, we all get scared. We all go through tough times. Hey, Derico, welcome. We all go through tough times. It's those moments that define us. And we've, you know, if you've never experienced a loss in your family, you are blessed. But I'm also going to say this. If you have experienced a loss, you're also blessed. Because that is part of life. That is part of greatness. That is part of you becoming a better version of who you are. Because you know that you matter to someone. Peggy and I were talking this morning, and I made a comment to her that the weirdest thing for me when I started losing my family is that there just wasn't anyone there anymore. But yet you find new families. Iboomerang, case in point. You also find new venues, new avenues, new ways to go down. Last night we had a real special time here in St. Louis. We had what's called a good party, a get out of debt party. And probably about 40 people showed up. The energy was just all unbelievable in there because we all had a common purpose. Rudy, my brother, you're so right. We all go through tough times. Those tough times is when you sit back and you appreciate all that you have. Hey, Therese, welcome to you as well. Boy, Rudy, you hit something on the nail on the head there. It's when you sit back and appreciate all that you have. I know Kelly and I were meeting with her pastor this weekend talking about iboomerang for their congregation there. And we showed a picture of Mr. Peter Hirsch and Miss Karen Hirsch and what the work they do through the Boom Foundation. And I remember the video they showed us in Vegas and the kids getting this meal of nourishment. And it was like a sandwich, maybe a bologna sandwich or a cheese sandwich or some ham sandwich or something, and a protein bar and maybe an apple. They were so grateful for that. And as I watched that, I thought to myself, how many times have we said, there's just nothing to eat in the house? But there were apples and there were protein bars and there were things to make a sandwich with. But we had convinced ourselves that wasn't good enough for us. So it's when you start to appreciate what you have and all that you have, that is when the greatness really starts to come in. I am very much a student of Les Brown. Got to meet him, work with some of his proteges, just a real genuine person. And here's the reason. It's the same thing that attracted me to the philosophy and to the message of Mr. Holton Buggs, our CEO. They've been there. They've been in those hard places, in those obstacles. And here's what they knew. They knew what they didn't know. They didn't know they had it bad. They thought they had it good because that's what their parents wanted them to believe. That compared to others, it may not be as great. But in the life you're living right now, this is the finest moment you have. Make it even finer. That's what Mammy taught Les Brown. That's what Mrs. Buggs taught Holton. That's what parents teach their kids. Yes, you may not have all that someone else has, but what you have right now, that is your finest moment. You make that finest moment even finer. And otherwise, you become a product of entitlement. And we all know what entitlement does. Entitlement, to me, is the antithesis of greatness. And it's when you really start to define greatness and you start to see greatness in you that you realize things are great. So how does greatness and iboomerang fit together? It's pretty simple. Iboomerang is based on a vision of Mr. Holton Buggs that at the base of it encourages each one of us to strive to be in our greatness. That's what it's really about. That's why it's called boomerang. Because when you toss out goodwill, goodwill comes back to you. It's not called entitlement. It's called boomerang. Because you toss out goodwill and goodwill comes back to you. That is greatness. So what do? We give out what we do. We give out our technology. We give out our products. And on top of all of that, we guarantee that you will save money. And let me just give you a real quick example and we'll wrap up. And again, I'm so excited about our new platform tomorrow. Here's an example. You know, we tell you on these calls that flights don't discount. Airlines don't pay commission. That's domestically. You know, foreign may be a little bit different story, but they don't pay commissions. But occasionally it does happen. So I was trying to find me a flight back from Fort Lauderdale to St. Louis. And so I was looking to find the best flight out there. And I went on our iGo platform and voila. I was able to save $54 on my flight from Fort Lauderdale back to St. Louis. $54 over what was on that airline's webpage. But about an hour later, I get a phone call, and it's our customer excellence department. And they said, Bart, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but the airline is not going to honor that fare. And I said, what? He said, no, but he said, we have a solution for you. He said, I can get you on another airlines, and you'll leave about the same time, and you'll arrive in St. Louis in the same time. And that one is $59 cheaper than the $54 discount that I found on iGo. Jorge saved me $113 on my flight back. Talk about greatness. I wasn't going out trying to find the best deal. I was going out trying to find a way to get back to St. Louis where I really wouldn't have to go through a whole lot of hassles, a whole lot of stops or whatever to get back. And boom, I found it. Hey, Kim, welcome to the call. So, there's an example of something that is just different. Occasionally you will find those discounts out there with it. But that wouldn't have happened had the vision of Mr. Holton Buggs and the whole concept of greatness been put out there through his vision. And then he assembled this team of people who share that sense of greatness, because greatness, as Les Brown taught us, comes from within. So folks, this has been so much fun today. Again, tomorrow we're going to launch a brand new platform. It's going to be a Zoom platform. Look today on my Facebook page, on Rudy's, and on the ibüümerang chat page of the Zoom code. But we'll also be taking that and then doing a watch party live out on Facebook. So we'll even be spreading out to even more folks. This has been awesome. Guys, if you want to learn more about ibüümerang, about what we do, and about how we do what we do creates greatness in ourselves, just type in the comments, tell me more, and we'll send you some information about ibüümerang. If you want to see this piece of technology to see how I was able to save that kind of money on a flight when you don't get discounts on flights, just type the word me, M-E, and we'll send you a free ibüümerang. Guys, until tomorrow, sending love. And you're right, Rudy, that will be so much more accessible for the audience. Agus, hey, welcome coming back to watch us again. Guys, thank you so much. Go out and make it a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you here tomorrow on Wednesday. And until then, boom, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you on the beaches of the world. Adios.